Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we're live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with stress. Hmm. And I will definitely have to tell you, I have had more than my fair share this weekend. First of all, a very warm welcome to you all. Before we get into that, I hope that you've all had a wonderful weekend. And I hope you're ready to laugh at what happened to me this weekend. So, but before I do, I found a really great quote that sort of describes it all. It said, "Success is not built on success, it's built on failure, and it's built on frustration, and sometimes it's built on catastrophe." That really epitomized everything that happened to me since I last saw you on Friday. So here we go. Let's just do the birthdays. We know that the 24th is Jamie's birthday and also Jeannie's grandson Zephyr. So happy birthday to this. Happy birthday to anybody else. I know we've got Kerry's on the 30th and Halloween. But if we've missed anybody else, please let me know because it means you're not on the database. And before we start, let us just, if we all can, our thoughts and prayers for everybody involved in the Israeli Hamas conflict, and also, obviously, everybody involved in the Ukraine Russia conflict. And it's just like, wow, how many more people are going to invade people just because they feel like it? And that's to me is really worrying. That's just like, yeah, the people of Ukraine didn't do anything to provoke um, Crimea being invaded, some years ago, or the eastern Ukraine. It's just like, what is happening? I don't know. But let's move on to happier things. And it's been a real spooky sort of weekend for me. And that's why I wondered why why I've got spookiness coming a week early. But that's what happened. Um, I I left you on Friday with a phone that didn't work. Remember that? And it just died on me. For those of you who weren't on the Friday broadcast, my phone that has worked so well for me for so long just suddenly died. Yeah, I went to look at it and blank screen, black screen. Nothing I did made that black screen do anything other than be black. And so I was talking about how it's really important to smile, breathe, and take things slowly. So I knew that I was really busy all day Friday and later on after the broadcast because I had somebody coming in to work on my televisions, which is my next topic. But let me talk about the phone first of all. And, the funny thing was that I decided to keep it on charging. Um, so that at least if possible that it would have a full battery for them to do whatever they needed to do to transfer stuff. That's what I was going to do on Saturday, and I had Siora coming on Saturday, so I warned her that I wouldn't be available and all those sort of things. Saturday morning I get up, and for some reason my phone wasn't hooked in to charge. I thought, well, I better just charge it up a bit before I take it into the store and get a new phone and get them to try and transfer stuff over. By the way, big question to you all: how many of you have printed out your contact list in the last year? And the reason I say that is because we rely so much on our devices these days that when the devices go down, all mine went down this weekend, all of them. Um, when they go down, it's like, do you know anybody's telephone number anymore? I don't think so. Because we just text them or whatever, and we don't need to remember those sort of things. So, one of the things I have done this weekend is to totally print out yet again uh, all my reminder, both personally, all my addresses and stuff, not only personally, but also on DearMamaSal. So, that took a lot of paper. Um, all right. So then Saturday morning, here I am going, why wasn't that plugged in? So I plugged it in and I was, just about to turn away and do something else when I thought, that little circle what came on, that one that I hadn't been able to see on Friday, where the phone's turned off, but it shows you that it's charging. And I'm going, I can see that. Now you're going, of course you can. You understand I couldn't on Friday. So it was so exciting, and I'm going, yeah, right. But will it turn on? So I left it charging until till it said, that it had at least 50% in it. And then I tried to turn it on. And it worked. It worked like nothing had gone wrong with it. Weird. Now here's the even weirder thing, spooky. Cue in the Twilight Zone music. When Siora came later on, she said to me, "Oh, you too." And I said, "What?" And she said, "A lot of people had a lot of problems with their technology on Friday." She had problems where hers was doing all sorts of weird things. It didn't stop like mine did, but she said hers was doing all sorts of weird things, jumping around and doing stuff. So I went, Twilight Zone stuff. So the good news is, touch wood, the good news is that I do not have to replace it, hopefully. So that gave me more time because I'd written off all of Saturday to go and get a new phone. So yeah, if you haven't printed out your contacts in the last year, I recommend that you do. It's part of getting ready for winter, let's put it that way. All right, so now the next thing is, after the broadcast on Friday, the TV guy was coming, remember? Because I've been having some problems with my internet and TV ever since I've been here, but this is the second one in a week. So, what a nice guy. Absolutely charming. So, he came, and that you remember on Friday, I'm telling you that I've just replaced the modem and, 2 in 1 week and all that sort of stuff. And of course, the new guy comes in, and he goes, "Well, no. What you actually need is the lesser spotted dudite." I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yep." He said, "There's something that all the people that are trying to help you don't realize." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "You're not on fiber optics." I said, "What?" He said, "Where you live, you're in this little zone, and the place next door to me, the sort of next community over." He said, "You're in this zone where they never updated you guys to fiber optics. So every time anybody comes out to deal with you, they think you got fiber optics and you haven't. So here's why my internet keeps dropping." This is what he was telling me. So if you can imagine this, my internet turns on or whatever, and the first thing it does is it looks, if you can imagine this as an eyeball, it looks for fiber optic connection first, right? Oh, doesn't find it. It looks for the second line of fiber optics, doesn't find it. Looks for the third line of fiber optics, still can't find anything, and then goes, "Oh, let's go to old school." And that's what I got. So he said, "That's why your internet keeps dropping out, because every now and then it's switching, and what's happening is it's looking to take you away from the old school onto the fiber optics, but you haven't got fiber optics." Now that made some sense to me. I don't know about you guys. So I went, okay. So apparently he said, what you actually need is better old school stuff. And he said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to bring you, an R552 or whatever it was that he said. I've got it written down somewhere. And he said, and then we'll put that in. And it's old school because it's going to have antennas on it. So your Wi-Fi is going to have antennas. And I said, what about this pod that didn't last 24 hours? He said, piece of what? And he said, never going to work. Okay, fine. So in the meantime, in the meantime, you will remember that the internet and TV provider was sending me new modems. No, new TV boxes. That's very exciting. So, and so I said to the helpful guy, I said, well, they're sending me new TV boxes. And he said, they won't work for you either very well. So, okay, fine. But anyway, they sent the TV boxes. Now, I don't know why the little devil in me went, I'm going to connect one up anyway, just to see. Now, some of you will know from the history that I've been having a lot of problems with the new television that's a year old now, that's in my bedroom, where the sound was distorted quite badly. And what we worked out earlier in the week with the other guy was that when you go to direct TV, the sound isn't distorted. It was only distorted through the TV box. So that's why I ordered a new TV box for in there. So anyway, it arrived and I thought, I'm gonna hook it up in the bedroom. Well, it was so exciting, because I managed to do it. And not only that, but it's got one of these. I know you're all going to laugh at me because you've probably all had this for 20 years, but I have never had a remote that you could talk into. Can you imagine what that was like for me, where I could press the button and go CNN, and it just went, and it went to CNN. And even better for me was I could press the button and go tennis, and I didn't have to spend half an hour trying to work out which of the TSN channels was carrying the tennis out of Japan this week. I just went tennis, and there it was. I died and went to heaven in that moment. It was just like, wow, look at that. Isn't that awesome? So then, of course, I got really quite excited, and I'm doing, of course, once you change the modem, I had to change everything again, right? I had to reset up all my devices with the new IP address and everything. Pain in the what, but it is what it is. You remember what I said about on Friday about it being frustrated? But you just have to be patiently frustrated, because the only way all the devices are going to work is if you change the settings. And then you've got to change the settings on Netflix, and you've got to change the settings on BritBooks, and you've got to change the settings on you name it. I got to change the settings. So I went, okay, that's what I need to do. If it's what I need to do, I just need to be patient about it and just do it one by one. However, so excited was I about the voice remote that, of course, this morning when I got up, I thought, I'm going to do that with my television in my living room, because they gave me a second one for the living room, but I hadn't connected up. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Kim is saying she has COVID. You've had that quite a few times, haven't you, Kimmy? I'm sorry to hear that, honey. Look after yourself, please. Just before I go back to this thing, I just got another quote. It said, frustration is a very positive sign. It means that the solution to what your problem is within range. But whatever you're currently doing isn't working, and you need to change your approach in order to achieve your goal. That was Anthony Robbins who said that. So, it was just like, anyway, so I got all excited and I thought, I'll now put the second box in my living room so I can sit and go CNN, in my living room. Very excited. So I disconnect stuff. Oh no, I connect stuff up, and the next thing I knew, I had dropped the IP address from my original box, and then the new one wasn't working, and I, in that moment, didn't have television or Wi-Fi. How many on a Sunday when I'm about to do a broadcast? How many of you can imagine the words I was using at that point? And it was just like, really? What have I done this week that I deserve all of this? So I went, smile to relax, and then breathe into your stomach, and then go slowly. And I went, okay. So I tried a second time, it's nothing. Then I'm going to have to go in the car, go somewhere where I can get a connection on my phone, and then, you know, get some um, get some notices out to people to tell you I'm not going to be able to do a broadcast. But before I do that, I'm not going to quit. You know that. I mean, those of you who know me know I do not quit easily. So then I said, okay, fine. I disconnected everything. I've got a wire farm going on here, right? I've got so many different things plugged in. It's not even funny. So I disconnected absolutely everything. And then I said, you're only going to hook back the modem, the television, and the new gizmo. And then I got the new gizmo working, and I had an internet back, and oh, I was so excited. I cannot tell you how excited I was. But it took probably an hour for me to get that far. It says here, the torment of human frustration, whatever its immediate cause, is the knowledge that the self is in prison. It's a vital force and a mangled mind leaking away in a lonely, wasteful self-conflict. How many of you know the words I was using on myself for starting this debacle were not polite, right? So, but then I got it working, and I was so happy. Now, wasn't all working. Everything was working except I couldn't talk to it. It wasn't changing stuff. And I went, you know something? I'll let the guru do it. When he comes back to bring me the KY42 or whatever it's called, when he comes back with that, he can fix this, right? But then I just did another couple of things. And the next thing I knew, this worked. So now I'm feeling very proud of myself. All right? Very proud of myself. So, yeah. Interesting. Kimmy's saying, and Kimmy, I obviously we're also sorry to hear that you've got COVID. She's saying 3.5 weeks ago when she got the flu, she took the COVID test. A week later, it was negative. Yeah, it's something. I had COVID. I'm pretty sure I had COVID, but none of the tests when I took them showed it. But I'm pretty certain I had it last year, just by all the symptoms that I had. But just take it easy, please. And the good news, in a way, Kimmy, is that I don't think it is nearly as dangerous today. I presume that you've had your shots, so it's not nearly as dangerous today as it was, 2 years ago, for example. So please look after yourself, right? Frustration is the fuel that can lead to the development of an innovative and useful idea. How many of you have been through this chaos of trying to upgrade televisions or whatever, and then everything goes wrong? And would you agree that in that moment you feel so stupid? It's like, why did I even start this? Why didn't I just stay old school and never mind all this fancy stuff? And then I went, no, it is time to upgrade this stuff, obviously. So as I talk to you now, and I'm going to touch wood again. As I talk to you now, I have 2 televisions, both working with these remotes. And I obviously have internet connection because I'm talking to you. And I have got all my devices upgraded to the new IP address. I think. I'm pretty sure I have. By the way, I had to upgrade so many different devices. I have that IP address password emblazoned on my brain. All right, Kimmy's saying, I'm mad at myself because I didn't get them yet because of the eye surgery and then the teeth surgery, and then you got sick. Okay, so, but even so, you had them last year, didn't you, Kimmy? So, if you had any of them, you would have, at least some of the antibodies. Yeah, you let your guard down, of course, right? And not only that, because of the surgery and everything else, your immune system was down. So it wasn't something you did. It was just your body was weaker. So don't blame yourself. Um, it's just like you did the best you could with all that was going on. So we send you a big hug, and just stay close to home. All right, don't spread it to anybody else if you can help it. But in the meantime, just take it as a. Are you over the worst of it? Do you think? Do you think you've got over the worst of it already, or are you just sort of in the beginning of it? Because I seem to remember when I got it, it lasted for a long time. It was just like I had. Um, no, you don't think. You think you're worse? Yeah. Okay. So just know that it lasts longer than I ever dreamt it would. All right. I think I ended up being sick for about 3 weeks. Um, and the first week, I struggled to get from my bed to my couch. That's how bad it was. I literally, that was about my major exercise for the day, was to get out of bed and get to the couch so I could lie down there. Very scary stuff. So for all of you who've had these frustrating moments, all right, how many of you can remember these frustrations when you upgraded your laptop or your cell phone or whatever? And so the truth is, I believe, that if we're going to keep in sync with the technology, we're going to keep doing this to ourselves, all right? But there's a lot to be said for the old school. Do you have all your contacts in a hard copy somewhere? Because we rely so much on the technology that when it goes down, I was trying to think, how on earth, am I going to find out these telephone numbers? Because I can't get on the internet to find out. And that means I got to phone somebody, and I'm going, I don't even know what Yvonne's phone number is these days. You know what I mean? It was just like, um, and so I said, okay, that's it. And a tome of paper later, a ream of paper later almost, I ended up with everything printed out. So, and it's going in a binder now, and it's going to get put away. And I recommend that we do it every year. However, did you notice something missing? I wonder if any of you spotted it. It's a new gizmo, people. I treated myself to a pour over coffee thing. I have become an absolute coffee snob. I've decided that's what it is. So there's the kettle, and it actually plugs in. I've got the plug in over there. You can't see it, it's over there. Um, and now I am treating myself to pour over coffees. And I know that Benji told me 1,001 times it was totally different, and it is. And it takes slightly longer, but boy, the taste. You use the same coffee and it tastes completely different. And it's so good. Where are the dish towels? Oh, they actually just haven't come out today. I took the ones that were there and threw them in the wash. Oh, Kimmy's saying her daughter in Utah has also got COVID. Wow, at least you're keeping it in the family. So you're thinking it looks a bit bare there without the dish towels, right? Can you cope with it, Jeannie, just for one broadcast, or do I need to go and put them there for you? Because I will if it really upsets you. So anyway, the good news is that I got to watch the tennis, and the interesting thing was that the young player, I'm great follower of the Spanish guy Carlos, but now we got an American guy, young guy, 21 year old, I think, called Ben Shelton, and he's just such fun to watch as well. Um, oh, thank you, Karim. Anyway, so what I noticed was that like this happening in Japan. So I was watching it in the middle of the night, then sleeping through part of it. But I got to see that, and I just kept going tennis, and then I'd go CNN just to check what was happening, and then I go back to tennis, and I'm going, how did I live without this? All right, how did I live without this? So, and then of course that's why I then wanted it in my living room as well. And it's got it. So, how many of you are getting ready for winter now that I know that those of you in the States are getting ready for Thanksgiving, but I'm in the process of getting things checked off my list for winter. All right. And one of the things that I've done is to speak to a guy to come and clean out all my gutters before and I'm trying to work out whether to wait until all the leaves are down before I do that. But I've spoken to him and got the quote. So that's good. I did something different. I noticed that where I sit in the winter, because I got a big window behind me and a big bay window to my right, it gets very chilly. So I think some of you heard that I put a little space heater in there just to heat up my immediate area. Not the whole house, just that little area where I sit. And that is working really well. So just to let you know that, I'm very pleased with it. The other thing I did to get ready was that, and this is something for those of you who are a little older, you might want to think about this. One of the things that I did was I just put, if you can imagine that this is my couch, I just put 4-inch risers under my couch. Okay? And the question is, why? The reason is because I was aware that when I sat on my couch, if these are my knees and they're my feet, that my butt was that much lower than my knees. Okay, so if you can imagine this is my body, that my if this is my butt, do you know what I'm saying? And I know that's not good for me at my age with my hips. So what I have done now is taken the couch up by 4 inches. By the way, I measured it to see how much I needed. And now my legs are in a straight line before they go down, which is putting much less stress on my hips. So, but of course, I had to wait for somebody to come to help me lift the couch because I couldn't do that. And that was, of course, Ciora came and helped me do that on Saturday. So really happy with that. Something I've been waiting to do. By the way, the pour over coffee maker was free. Free to me in as much as every year at this time, I take my Visa points and I buy myself what I call a luxury. And I try to think long and hard, what do I sort of, it doesn't have to be, useful for anybody else or to impress anybody else. It's like, what luxury would I like? And then I thought, I'd really like to have one of those pour over coffee things. And I'm going, but you got the Keurig. And I said, yeah, but it's just not the same. And I know that now, unfortunately. And so I went, it's okay, Sal. You're doing it with your points. It's not wasting money. You've got the points, so do it. So I did. And then I realized that they got a new system with the points where you can just put them immediately into your bank account. And so I did. And then I had enough left over and I did something else. Again, for people who are older, I really struggled last year with my feet getting really cold. So what I've done, okay, now we got to imagine this is my bed. What I've done is I bought myself some really good, almost fleece sheets, all right? So they're winter sheets. But what I did last night is I just took the sheet and I put it at the bottom of my bed like this so that I could lie here and put sort of from my knees on into fleece sheets. And, for the first time in a long time, my feet weren't cold. Now, obviously, I will end up making my bed with the fleece sheets when it gets cold enough that my whole body needs it. But right now, and the other thing I got was some fleece socks so that if necessary, I can wear those as well. Because I just don't want that. Last year, I really was cold on my feet. And the fleece socks are for me to be able to wear inside my slippers if necessary so I can keep my feet properly warm. So there we go. Frustration, although quite painful at times, is very positive and essential part of success. How many of you know if I hadn't struggled through everything that I went through this weekend, I wouldn't have two televisions that I can just talk to? So exciting. And the other thing I did was I realized, and again, the things you don't realize, once you upgrade that system, you suddenly realize, wait a minute, CNN isn't on 33 anymore. Where the is it? And then you realize you don't have the piece of paper that tells you. You think they'd supply that with the news system, wouldn't you? No. So eventually, when I got everything working again, I went and tracked that down. So yes, I have now printed it out, all 3 pages of it, double-sided. It's like, how many channels do we have these days, people? I mean, I know I'm old and cranky, but I can remember when we had just one channel. And it was black and white on a 7-inch screen. And we were so excited. And then we got 2 channels. And now I look at it and go, 340 something channels or whatever it is, and we still can't find anything to watch. And then we have streaming as well. Go figure how we have changed. However, the other thing that I decided when I had all those leads unplugged at the back of my television, it was time to move everything out of the way and totally clean that area. And then also untangle all those wires. How many of you know that over the months they got tangled into one another? And so I untangled everything. And then after, tomorrow, I'm going to spend a bit of time trying to create a tidy wire farm. Jody's saying her cable provider has 185 channels. Yeah. I want to tell you something. Now, I noticed that the package that is on there at the moment, they're probably going to ding me for it in a minute now, has amazing programs on it, including yoga and stuff that would be very useful for me in the winter. And then I noticed the basic package, drops down quite considerably. So I may have to get the upgraded package. So we're getting ready for winter is what I was talking about. And I wonder how many of you, I feel you're ready. What about for Thanksgiving? How many of you feel that you're ready for Thanksgiving? It's the last Thursday, the 3rd Thursday in November, I believe, for you guys in the States. We've already had ours, of course. But it's just like, can you do that? The other thing that happened was that I got some groceries in. That was good. Oh, by the way, when you don't have a phone, you realize that the guys that normally contact you, like the TV guy and the grocery guy can't contact you anymore because they have your cell phone number. So I was busy trying to get messages to the all these people to say, don't phone me on my phone, phone me on my landline. And I'm glad I still have a landline. How many of you still have a landline? I don't think I'm alone in that. It's just like I don't want to be without a telephone. So if one goes down, I want the other one, and I'm prepared to pay the price for that. How about this? Trying to please everyone is a recipe for stress, misery, and frustration. Be yourself, and it'll be good to know who's down with that. Jody, I always think of you being a pretzel when I first met you, and I know you're not anymore. All right, so Jeannie's saying, I'm ready for Thanksgiving. I ordered turkey breast with honey glaze. Ooh, doesn't that sound good? Yeah. I've got my neighbor next door. It's his birthday this week. So the day after his birthday, I've invited them over to come and have dinner with me. And, he likes pretty basic food. So I'm doing an English cottage pie, which is like a shepherd's pie. But the thing is that a lot of people in North America don't realize that a shepherd's pie is actually made with lamb, not with beef. And so what the Americans call shepherd's pie isn't shepherd's pie, it's actually cottage pie. So I had to, do a little bit of education on that one. Oh, so Jody's saying, yeah, we had a landline up until about a year ago. Yes, but you had some very serious downsizing financially. And I understand why you got rid of your landline. I totally get that. That's a luxury that I understand that you had to get rid of. So, but it's interesting to me how many people do or do not have it. And the other thing that I found out this week, and I'm certain you all know this, but if your internet goes down, get in your car, if you're lucky enough to have one, and get to the nearest shopping area. Because almost every store has customer Wi-Fi. In other words, you can just be outside the store and you can connect with their Wi-Fi to send messages and things if you need to. Jody's saying we're planning on making scalloped oysters for Thanksgiving. Wow, that's different. That's different. And in my grocery, I actually ordered up turkey, but they ran out, so they sent me some chicken, which I cooked up yesterday. And I must admit, I don't know why I did it, but I did a ginger mandarin type thing with chicken. And I poured that all over a complete bed of vegetables. Like I had bok choy and cabbage, regular cabbage, bok choy. I had sweet potato, peppers, yellow and red peppers. I had celery, you name it. I had vegetables up about this thick, and then just the chicken in the sauce that I'd made over the top. I want to tell you, that was really good. Kimmy's saying my cell won't connect to the store Wi-Fi for some reason. All right, you may need a password. But most stores, Jeannie, I know that you live in a pretty rural area, so that might be the reason that they don't share their Wi-Fi. But, if you can get to a mall, you can probably get into their Wi-Fi or their customer Wi-Fi. Not their own Wi-Fi, but they normally have one that's just so that customers can use their phones. So that's just a good thing to remember. So I knew my plan B was get in the car, go up to the local store and sit in the car park and send the messages I needed to send. That makes sense. Yeah, Jody's saying, Kimmy, sometimes you need to have a password or click on agree to use the service. Or maybe, Kimmy, it's worth going in and try to use it. And if it doesn't connect, say to them, why is your Wi-Fi not connecting? And let somebody fix it for you. So here's another quote I liked. It said, "You've done it before and you can do it now. See how the positive possibilities redirect the substantial energy of your frustration and turn it into a positive, effective, unstoppable determination." How many of you know when everything went down, I just stood there and went, you can do this. It won't necessarily be easy, Sal, but you can do this. So we're going to just disconnect absolutely everything, and we're only going to put back the essentials and see if we can get it to work with that. Just one little step at a time. And then, you know, the little new pod thing got an IP address, and I went, oh, my phone is working. Yay. And then, it was just like bit by bit. And then the TV was working. Now they've got the TV working. Now I can get fancy and see if I can get this working. You understand? Um, so what I looked at was, this was a weekend for technology, no doubt about it. And I am grateful for all the technology I have. No doubt about that either. And even though I was muttering and grunting because I had to change the password on this computer, that computer, I've got a laptop in my living room. These other two are older ones. I just used this old one purely to do the broadcasts on. I have another one in the craft room that's old, and all it has to do is run the program that I use in my craft room. And by the way, old computers are really good for that. You don't have to have everything working on it. I just want it to be able to have enough memory to be able to run this program. This one, I just need it to have the memory that it can do a broadcast nicely, which it does. And it was just like, and then you forget things. You forget that your printer is Wi-Fi as well, and that needs to be changed. And then it has a little glitch as well. And then you've got to find out, does my printer still work from my phone as well as my computers? So I had to check it from all the computers. And it was just like, how much time does all this take? And you're going, who cares? It needs to be done. It takes as long as it takes, and I want it all working. And then I did remind myself that I may end up in a situation where I am totally without either the TV or the Wi-Fi, in which case I was going to run out and go and get near, as I said, a mall or something, and then send a note out to Jody and to the rest of you to say, don't panic. I've just gone offline until the guy comes on Wednesday. But now, luckily, I've managed to do it for myself. But then, I thought about it, and I don't know about you guys, but haven't we grown? How many of you can remember when we had dial-up? All right, when the only way that you could have the internet was on dial-up. And then every time somebody phoned you, the internet dropped. Oh, I remember that. And I'm going, we have learned so much, right, in the last 20 years. It's amazing. How about this one? Explain your anger instead of expressing it, and you'll find solutions instead of arguments. That is something that we teach our children, right? Which is when they're having a little conniption, we go, can you put that in words for me so I can understand why you're so frustrated? But why don't we do that to adults as well? I can hear you slamming doors, so I know that you're angry about something. Could you put that into words so I can understand? So, yeah, Kimmy's saying a big company came here and put their lines and changed from the system they used to have, and now the Wi-Fi is always out. Yep. And that's what's happening here. My internet provider got bought out by a big one, and that's why everything's changing for me. So yeah, I relate to that. So what I want you to do is to understand this whole weekend of in fact, a week of technological problems. But without them, I wouldn't be able to go tennis and go, look at that. It brings me exactly to where I want to be at 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was, And then I'm going, I wonder what's happening in Israel and CNN. And I'm going, oh, I can live with this. Yeah, that was worth all the frustration in the world. And Yvonne said to me, I can't believe you didn't already have one of those. And I'm going, no, my stuff was pretty old, I guess. So I will have more information for you on Friday when I get the updated whatever it is, the R452 or whatever it's called, for my Wi-Fi, that hopefully will keep my Wi-Fi more reliable. Yeah, Jody's saying the voice remotes are so nice. I love it. Well, I didn't know what I was missing out on. Yeah, I really didn't know what I was missing out on. You understand, if you've never had it, why would you miss it? And for some reason, I'd never seen anybody else use it either. It was like, I don't know about you guys, but the first time I went somewhere and somebody that I was talking to turned, looked at their kitchen and said, Alexa, I don't want to say it too loudly because mine hears me, right? Said, Alexa, 5-minute alarm. And I'm going, where's that person? And I'm going, who are you talking to? She said, oh, don't you know about her? And I went, no. So she explained, and I said, you're joking. We can do that now? And she goes, yep. And of course, I went home and ordered one. But it's just like, oh, by the way, everything goes out, right? When you lose the Wi-Fi, you lose everything, including her. So, and, and this. Yeah, my emergency necklace was useless to me because I couldn't. Yeah, if I press this, it needs to go through my phone to send the emergency message. Scary. I agree. And that's why I said, Halloween came early for me. It's been a very scary week. But the good news is I think most of it is fixed now. So, and now I'm just going back to try and pick up all the things I didn't do. How many hours have I spent with these people? I would think I've lost at least a full day of this week, maybe 2, dealing with all these technological problems. All right. Yeah, Kimmy's saying, what would we do without Wi-Fi? Yeah. And that's what I nearly found out. And I nearly found out what would you do without Wi-Fi and TV, because both those were out for a while for me. Yes, and Jody's saying, all right, things to be grateful for. Jody's saying, and to think we used to have to get up from the sofa to change the TV channel. You remember those days? Okay. And then how about adjust the bunny ears? Can any of you remember that far back? So let's be grateful for what we do have and what works. And I can assure you I'm going to have a lot of fun tonight, talking to my remote. And yeah, Jody's saying, I remember the bunny ears. Yeah, I do too. Very well. I remember literally the first television we had was like this big. And then all of us were sitting around staring into this little 7-inch space. Ah, gosh, how old was I then? Probably about 4 or 5 or something. But I do remember it. Of course, it was black and white, and it was the BBC. Yeah, good point, Kimmy, right? The kids nowadays, can you imagine what they would do without Wi-Fi? All right? And what about all the children if they didn't have their tablets? All right. How many people know, today? How many people do you know today that the new babysitter is called a tablet? All right. You want to keep the kids quiet? You give them the tablet to play with for a while. So, and that's one of the reasons, Kimmy, that I enjoy visiting my neighbor, and they're coming over this week because they actually still like to play games. So we will play Boggle. Any of you play Boggle? Um, I gave her the choice. I have Scrabble, Boggle, and some other stuff still in my life. Yeah, Kimmy's saying babysitter, TV, cell phone, or iPads. Exactly. And that's the new way of doing it. But on the plus side, our children are much more savvy much earlier on because of all those. I don't. I can remember when they said we were all going to end up stupid if we had calculators. How many of you can remember that? That we shouldn't be allowed to have calculators because then we would all be stupid. And the truth is, by having a calculator, we were all able to be that much faster on so many things. And I look at it now that I've got a calculator on my watch. I mean, I cannot tell you, that is such a luxury for me, because it's just like, I'm amazed how much I use it. Oh, interesting. Kimmy says she doesn't think that children are more savvy today. Really? What about the rest of you? What do you think? Do you think that children are more savvy today because of how quickly they learn stuff? Jeannie's saying, but I don't understand the new math. 1 and 1 equals 0. Yeah, I something? I didn't get that either. But the good news, how many of you saw that when I was away for the weekend with Juliana, that I don't know if you know, but I was helping her with some multiplication stuff. And you could tell that she really wanted to do better. She gets a test every Friday. And so I was trying to help her by teaching her some stuff. And it was so cute because on Friday, a week ago, she contacted me and said, Mama Sal, I got the best score ever. And I went, there you go. Amazing what a bit of practice will do. So I noticed she didn't get hold of me this yesterday or on Friday. So I got to check with her and find out how she did this week. Okay, so Jody's saying, I think they're more savvy, yes, in the technological aspect alone. Yeah, but the technological aspect, can you remember when we wanted information, we had to go to Encyclopedia Britannica, which was probably 12 years old when we looked at it, because we probably had a secondhand version anyway. But it was just like, and today, the information we have is so incredible, all right? And it's so quick. Yes, they don't have to think. The internet does. But, I disagree that they don't have to think. I just think that when you think, you can get the answers to your questions a lot faster. I am amazed how many times I'll be sitting at dinner and I try, obviously, not to use my phone during a meal. But I literally, something will happen and I'll go, does anybody mind if I check that out? So we've got the answer immediately. And they go, no, go right ahead, Sal. So then I'll quickly, do it on my phone. I go, okay, the answer is da, 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 da. So yes, I agree with Jody. I think it's pros and cons, all right? We get information much faster. The other thing is this, can you remember in the old days, if you in business, if you wanted to answer a letter, it could take a week, 10 days to get an answer back from somebody. Now, if you don't get the answer back in the next email, you're upset. So everything has, gone so much faster because of that. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. The stress is much greater. The stress to get things done. I noticed that something happened on my website recently, and I missed the fact that I had somebody had written to me. And I didn't see it for like 6 hours later. And I realized that that's 6 hours is a long time today. So I humbly apologized for not having seen it. And really, do they care about why? Not really. No, I just, hadn't got back to them. So I made sure that when I sent them what they wanted, I added something extra to it for the weight that they had had. Think about that. That's the difference today, I think. All right, everybody. So there we have it. I'm going back to go play with my my gizmos now. And the other problem that I've got is that coffee is so good that yesterday um, I ended up having coffee sort of early evening. Not a good idea. Espresso coffee early evening, not a good idea. And it's no wonder I didn't sleep for quite some time. But it was worth it. So have a wonderful week, everybody. And I'm hoping that you got a couple of laughs out of this. And I hope in a way that you got a couple of memories of the old days. And to realize that we cannot possibly grow, all right, or have these new fangled things without some stress. It goes with the territory. But I am so glad that I have got the stress ability, right, to take a deep breath and go, okay, I can do this. Yeah, I keep reminding myself, you learned how to use a computer, you've learned all the other things, Sal, you can do this. It's just a new gizmo. You don't know how to work it yet. So the way you work it is you keep going until it works, or you end up getting somebody here to teach you. But you can do this. And it's an important thing for us to remember that we are more savvy than we think we are. All right. So have a wonderful week, everybody, and enjoy the devices that we have, because our lives are definitely a lot easier because of it. And I'll see you all on Friday. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you had a bit of a smile. Bye bye for now. Thanks, Jody.